You're listening to the Diary of an iGaming Executive in association with BettingJobs.
I think my greatest competition is myself,
Right.
actually. If you have a vanilla CV, you also then need to add on the other layer of the extra sprinkle as to what makes you suitable for that position. I love to be an advocate for women in gaming.
Jennifer, new year, new start.
Yes.
I always imagine, not that I'm a recruitment consultant, but I always imagine January is a busy time for candidates in particular. Is it a time of year that people are looking to change, having had a break over Christmas? Is it busy for BettingJobs?
Yeah, I think that's the perpetual thought, isn't it, when it comes to recruitment? People take Christmas and New Year to reflect and see what they want to achieve during the next year. Clients and candidates alike, I suppose. So yeah, I would say that the largest volume of applications that we receive by comparison to any other month is far higher in January. Yeah, people just take the holiday time to and sort of go, do I really want to be in this? In a year's time, what more can I do? If they're thinking about relocation, just to try and, make it happen for them during the year to come.
Can imagine.
Yeah.
Big for both of us, obviously, next week is ICE.
Yeah.
I've never quite known what the sort of role of a recruiter is at a trade show. Can you talk me through that? And is that a busy few days for you?
Yeah. And I'd say ICE in Barcelona is just enormous now, isn't it? So I'm so lucky that it's not our first ICE, because I feel sometimes if you haven't been, you can get lost in a sea of people and stands. The role of the recruiter, we're in quite a privileged position because I could meet with a client and that be really valuable and important, but we can also meet with a candidate as well, and meeting face to face can be invaluable as well. Oftentimes I find myself walking the floor, although we have a stand, surreptitiously walking and talking as we go around ICE. But the role of a recruiter at ICE can also sometimes be a client giving us a requirement, and there might actually be said commercial staff there that can meet with them the very next day. So it can be as frantic.
You can do the matchmaking there and then.
Yeah, you can do it right there and then. And actually sometimes that's great because you have that recall of the position. You've maybe met the client face to face and you get a real impression as to what and who would work well with them, and you can really convey that to the candidate in person. So it actually can be really fortuitous, not just for ICE but other conferences during the year that we all attend. The whole
Absolutely,
calendar of events.
You mentioned talking to people from different places and obviously getting to meet them in person, which is I'm sure really important for all of us, but for recruiters in particular. But talk to me about the different markets that these people are in, and what's sort of new in 2026, or what's big in 2026 for you guys in terms of markets or in terms of types of the industry.
So perhaps 2 points come to mind, I would say. Last year, at the beginning of 2025, it was sweepstakes and companies interested in sweepstakes. But as the year progressed, and I think it will absolutely be the same for the portion of 2026 to begin with, is cryptocurrency casinos. Most of the startups that we've been working with recently have been cryptocurrency casinos or sports betting brands, or indeed some of the operators looking to add that cryptocurrency twist and then needing that candidate expertise as well. So first of all, cryptocurrency, if it's crypto or bust basically at the moment. And then secondly, I would say the emergence of the new iGaming hub that is the UAE as well. Over the last few years, I've really tried to cultivate and target the UAE, which has worked really well for us. Lots of interest in candidates to move to Dubai, for example. The volume of applications that we get for candidates or for roles that we advertise, in Dubai is far higher than any other location. Really? In fact, most put together, to be honest.
So you must need to be light on your feet then, really, because this time last year we're talking about sweepstakes, as you say, and it's completely different now.
Yes.
So you've got to move with the times quite quickly. That's and make sure you fill both the positions for candidates but also for clients as well.
Quite a nimble, and that's what makes it interesting as well. I've been doing this role for arguably too long, almost 2 decades now, and I think that's what keeps it interesting. speaking to people from all over the world, the emergence of new technologies, new iGaming hubs, in quite a privileged position that sometimes we can find out these things maybe before a lot of others, when it's just an idea or a framework, when it comes to even like the regulatory framework in the UAE, for example. So quite a privileged position in that we can kind of be aware of things before some others. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm surrounded by recruiters at home. My brother-in-law is a recruiter. My best man was a recruiter. So I've got it's all good. It's all good. I've got a good idea what a recruiter does, obviously. But if for those listening today, and in your words, what is the role of a recruiter in our industry? And if I can ask, how has that evolved over the last? You've mentioned 2 decades working in the industry, but
so I guess that's maybe twofold. There's been so much that's changed within the iGaming industry. As I said, the emergence of new products and new hubs and the diversity of locations, of roles. But at its heart, the role of the recruitment consultant, I believe, has stayed the same. We are here to listen, provide support, confidentiality, of course, and empathy. And I like to say that at its core, really, our product is not televisions. Our product is people. So if you spend time trying to get to know that person, and again, a privileged position because they'll tell you personal information, their career aspirations, family situations, if it's monetary situations. That's not changed throughout the years, and it's how you cultivate that relationship with the candidates, I think. Inevitably, technology has played a part in evolving, of course, AI. I know we might discuss that at some point, but I'd like to think that at its core, it remains the same, presenting a role to a candidate and truly understanding if they're interested and then helping them along the way.
Makes sense.
And another point I might make is over the last 2 decades, I could probably count in one hand how many people I've placed that have applied for the role that they've gotten.
Right.
For example, Manu Stan that you had on the podcast earlier or last year, he applied for a position with Unibet and eventually got it. He'd probably be one of only 5 people over this whole period of time that I've helped find the role that they applied for. So the role of the recruitment consultant is to meet with that candidate, find out what they're looking for, and then make that match with the role and the company. Is the salary right? Is the location correct? So it's not quite just as easy as you apply for that role, you seem suitable, send the CV. There's a little bit more going on behind the scenes. I
can imagine. Yeah, so still very people-centric, always was, always will be.
For sure.
But you mentioned technology and you mentioned AI, and one of the conversations I've had frequently in the last few podcasts that I've done is AI. But,
undoubtedly.
So maybe that's not changing because you're still very people-focused, but presumably the types of roles that you're placing or filling is changing because of the way AI is changing, or are we not yet there? Is that something to come, do you think?
So really good point. I think we've seen the emergence of AI companies. So of course we started to recruit for AI businesses themselves. Companies that have embraced AI, looking for development staff, for example. One of the key changes is perhaps the volume of maybe operational or junior level positions. So for example, we have one client in Dubai at the moment who's making a whole raft of redundancies. They had around 300 staff in junior fraud, payments, customer support positions. They're replacing most of those staff, only keeping 26 from 300 as a consequence of bringing in AI tools, chatbots to deal with that initial communication. Now, it remains to be seen if that's a wise decision, but I'd say that would be the largest impact, is just the volume of perhaps the more junior level, entry level positions. So we have to be cautious about how we get people started in the industry as a consequence of that.
Of course. But I guess all that artificial intelligence is always going to need human intelligence to input and what have you.
To start,
maybe it's a change in roles rather than a complete
always
removal.
Evolving. Always evolving. And as I say, that may not be the wisest choice that one particular company has made, and they may backtrack, and so there could then be other vacancies and things to learn as a consequence. But not the only company that's made that shift. There's certainly been a volume of companies that I'm aware of, people that have been made redundant that then come to seek roles from ourselves. And then it's how you get to know that candidate and find out what the transferable skills might be into another position, you know, that they could sort of progress into within the sector. Yeah. Very
good. Tell me a bit more about BettingJobs then. How did it get started? And you say 20 years now in the industry. That's a long time, isn't it?
I've not been there since the beginning. Yeah. We celebrated our 20th anniversary in 2023. Initially, the company started as a job board, so just advertising vacancies for likes of Galacoro and Ladbrokes. David Copeland, who's the company owner and founder, he worked in recruitment in London, tech recruitment in London, and is also a kind of, I'm sure you'll not mind me saying, an avid gambler. So I thought about putting these two things together, hadn't seen any real competitors. So what started as a job board has just evolved over the years into what we are today. Yeah.
Very good. Now, it's been a long time since I've been in the recruitment market. I'm probably fairly unemployable these days. But if I was to become a candidate anytime soon, what do candidates need to do to make themselves stand out in 2026? Are there certain things that you always recommend to people that are sort of...
I thought about this, and I guess that's our job, to be able to make someone stand out, or at least make the match that everyone's comfortable. So with AI, for example, if you could use AI to create a kind of vanilla CV, if you will, or a vanilla job description. I like baking, so I use the baking analogy. So if you have a vanilla CV, you also then need to add on the other layer of the extra sprinkle as to what makes you suitable for that position. Be that using the buzzwords that you see in a job description or an advert, or indeed the research that you've done on the company. The same with the job description as well. What can you say to advertise that position as an employer to attract the best candidates? What's going to make you and your company stand out as special or different? And what can be, use tech, for example, development staff, what can be quite a crowded marketplace. So having a vanilla CV to start with and then adding on your extra sprinkle is always what I would kind of say helps people stand out, or is a good starting point. I like the baking metaphor. That's good. Yes. I can relate to that. Bake Off's my favourite. Yeah.
Is it? There you go. There you go. We'll come on to talk about food in a minute. So that's candidates. What about companies then? You must see, and not to name names obviously, but you must see some common mistakes that sort of companies, or traps that they fall into when it comes to recruiters and what have you. But what could companies be doing better, do you think, at the moment?
I think, interestingly, I've worked with a few of our clients during the course of last year on just these topics, actually. The key thing is how to move out of just hiring people that you have always hired before. So it's the creation of diversity and how to maybe hire more internationally as well. So common traps can be becoming quite siloed within the region or the country in which you're familiar, and perhaps not being sort of paying cognizance to what other cultures or people relocating to you might need or want. A few clients, in fact, wanted to hire first language English speakers, but their email systems and their databases are all in Dutch language or Russian or French. So that's got to be the first thing. Tackle these internal processes and procedures before even thinking about hiring internationally, I guess. Because if these people start and they can't log onto your system, or they can't, communicate with the teams, then of course you're going to have an issue with attrition. And then the other thing is, just the multinational nature, and I think that becomes more prevalent when we talk about remote-based working as well. So if someone is not coming into the office every day, how do you cultivate that kind of culture of working together, people feeling part of the business? You can, we've seen that over the last few years with remote-based working, post-COVID, again, attrition can be an issue if you don't tackle how to make people feel like they belong or feel part of the company culture and that journey.
Which is difficult, as you say, when we're working remotely. It's 6 years. It feels like longer ago, but that COVID was here, and obviously there's been flu around recently, so we might be back in with it all. But that must have been quite a sea change, really, for recruiters in any industry, but particularly in ours, and that sort of multinational expansion that happened. Again, funny time for everyone, but as a recruiter, were you less busy, more busy? Was it just start again?
Far more busy. Far busy as people look to hire staff and talk about new trends, and that esports was the big topic at that time as well, and trying to pivot from traditional sportsbook products or what have you to offering anything for people to kind of bet on. I think it also, to my mind, it maybe sped up what was going to happen potentially within the industry. We have so many young entrepreneurial people within this industry, and I think a lot of them would have wanted remote-based working, or certainly hybrid working, more so than office 5 days a week. I do think in some degree, or to some extent, it sped up what was maybe going to happen anyway.
These things are quite often an engine for change, aren't they?
That's right, that's right. I think, and then what we've got now is kind of polar opposites of companies that want to go back and pull their staff back to 5 days per week, and that might be absolutely right for them. And then we've got the complete opposite of the young, more modern, entrepreneurial, completely remote-based working environment.
Is that a genie that people can put back in the bottle, do you think? Do you think, particularly with younger candidates who are now, or younger workers, I should say, who are now used to that hybrid model, or indeed fully remote, if companies want to pull them back in, will there be a push and a pull? And I guess it will depend on the individual. But
you'll just see, to my mind, I think we'll see a continuation of what I said there, the kind of polarisation of these types of businesses, where you have the larger, perhaps more corporate companies, where it's important for them to be in the office. And then you'll have the ones that want to embrace remote-based working because of all the benefits that it gives, the flexibility, the ability to hire people from all over the globe. Small things like being able to have around-the-clock help desk for tech support or something, as simple as hiring someone remotely, and then you don't have to pay the overnight compensation for salaries and things. But there are always exceptions to every rule, that's what I say. I find myself repeating myself a lot when it comes to recruitment and articulating job opportunities to people. There's always exceptions to every rule. So you will have startups, of course, where it's really important for them to build a culture and be in the office together as well. So polarisation, I think, is the word.
That's the buzzword. Interesting. Okay. Well, COVID was a big challenge for all of us, but everyone in their jobs has always got something that they look back on as the kind of most challenging time or challenging thing for them. But do you remember a time at BettingJobs what was your most challenging role or challenging job that you filled, or what have you? What was the one that stuck out?
We were discussing this just as we came in this afternoon. Sometimes the most challenging recruitment roles for us to fill are roles for us, for BettingJobs, and you'd think it would be easy, but for us, actually, when we're hiring, it's so much more about personality, and will that person fit our team and fit this industry as well. So we're not hung up entirely on core skills. So actually that can be the hardest thing.
Interesting. Is that because you can teach those skills, particularly if someone's bright and can pick stuff up quickly, but you can't actually teach personality? It's either it's there or not, isn't it?
Yeah. So, we want to hire people that will listen, show empathy to candidates, and I think not everyone will fit in that type of role. That's not that important for some people, I think as well, just as we move into like modern kind of work culture, where very much getting back to 9 to 5, taking a lunch break, for me, or I don't know, speak for yourself, but taking lunch breaks and working on, I think there's so many different facets to work nowadays, and that work-life balance as well. So to go back to your earlier point about like remote-based working and the ability to create balance, I don't know that you could put that genie back in the bottle for everyone as well, because these things have become so much more important. Certainly weren't even factors, when we were looking for work.
Amazing how things have changed. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So you've helped a lot of people in their careers, but tell me a little bit about yours. How did you get to where you are today?
Fluke, I think. I had no idea about recruitment. I had no idea about the online betting or gaming industry either. I graduated from Glasgow University. At the time, my dad had a chain of shops in Glasgow, and he also helped sell stock to like a lot of market stallholders at the Barras and the Paddy's Market and things. So he was all about sales and targets and having to be the best and always, making sure that I'd reached and achieved my sales targets. So the very day I graduated, it was a case of, you're going to have to find a job, you're going to have to start putting in. So I registered with a recruitment agency here in Glasgow on Buchanan Street, and they offered me a position as a receptionist. Can you imagine? And then I worked for them, just asking to do more and more and more for 2 years, and I ended up running a call centre desk. Interestingly enough, actually, a few clients that I've bumped into during the years have actually had call centres in that same place, in Ibrox. So after 2 years working there, there's such a thing as a rec-to-rec consultant, a recruitment-to-recruitment consultant. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of headhunted by a rec-to-rec, and next thing you know, I'm meeting with David and James and interviewing at BettingJobs.
Funny how these things work. You just fall into them, and
fluke,
here you are now. Yeah. So I think I'm right in saying you were BettingJobs' first female employee.
Is
that right?
Yes.
Was it a man's world then, or what? I mean, tell me about.
100%. Yeah.
Was it
100%? I walked into the office on my first day, and 30, 40 pizza boxes stacked up in the corner, a tatty, sofa in front of the television. Not many female touches, I guess. But the guys that I worked with were amazing. They never see me as different as because of my gender. And I think that's why I loved and embraced this industry from the start as well. So, the people that I work with, David, James, Martin Collins was working for BettingJobs when I first started, Ricky, all kind of took me under their wing and showed me the ropes to some extent. Yeah. A few just Google it, Jennifer, along the way, but that's how you find your own feet, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. Have you always been conscious of being a woman in the industry? What?
Yes.
I mean, I look at where we've come from, and it's probably easy for me to say, isn't it? But what used to happen at some of the trade shows and what was classed as entertainment in those days and what have you. And clearly we've moved on, thankfully. Yeah. But is it, as far as you're concerned, either personally or do you feel it as a bit of a struggle? Are we getting there? Are we there yet? Could we do more?
I think As far as trade shows is concerned, that's probably the vastest change that you would see as a person walking around ICE now. There's barely any scantily clad women. There's certainly, I don't think, any pole dancing. And it used to be, when I first started in the industry, you would maybe find yourself talking to someone and they maybe be looking away, obviously, at what was going on, or that female on the stand over your shoulder. Another thing I had to always, now this is 15 years ago when I would go to nightclubs after conferences, or that's my days of that are past, but you have to be conscious of giving your business card as a woman to a man at midnight. You think it might be the same. You think it might be the same as one of your colleagues. I might just have, that's what I've learned. I've witnessed my team, the other guys in the team doing this, but it's not quite the same. Yeah, it's not quite the same, and I never myself into any dangerous situations, but you just have to take a pause and think that that's not the way to do business. And I suppose that's just always these small things that you have to remind yourself of. Over the years, I've tried to cultivate a friendship group of females within the industry. We always go for dinner during conferences and kind of back one another up like that. So I think that's one of the important things. I realised best not to be in nightclubs with my business card at that time of night. Best to be cultivating real relationships with people that are not looking over my shoulder. Absolutely.
That women in gaming movement, if I can call it that, within the industry has been very powerful and very increasingly sort of vocal and visual. Are you proud to be sort of part of that? Is it a big part of who you are in the industry, do you think?
I love to be an advocate for women in gaming. Equally, I love to help men if they're looking for work as well. So I guess when it comes to some clients, for example, if they would say, we're looking for a CMO, when you send me his CV, or when you going through the skills or requirements he would have, or he, I love to challenge that.
Crawl when you hear
I love to challenge that. I love to challenge that, and I think I've become more confident in my abilities to challenge that. Maybe as a consequence of seeing this community and hearing other women be vocal, and quite simply just role models within the industry. So I've become more kind of confident in my ability to push back on that. In some instances, it can be language barriers as well. So you can't say that everyone is still stuck back in recruitment 20 years ago. But yeah, I think I've become more confident, I suppose, as a consequence of these communities and listening to that and the growth. Yeah, I'd say.
You never strike me as a very showy person, and I mean that as a real compliment. You're quietly confident, and as this interview has gone on, you've become even more confident, which is great. But you mentioned the role model word. I didn't. How does it feel to be a role model in the industry? Does that sit well on your shoulders?
No. The imposter syndrome is real, and I guess I'd rather, what our job is to sell our candidates, or to sell our jobs with clients to candidates. So I'd rather be a role model for that person or that company. I find I struggle to think of myself as a role model, actually.
Really? Yeah. But as a recruiter, you are selling those people, and it's ultimately those people that will be recruited. Yes. But you have to do a selling job yourself. You have to be confident enough to be able to present effectively.
That's right. And that's what brings me joy as well. But
there must be joy as well in younger women in the industry, aspiring people wanting to do well for themselves in the industry, that they can look at you as someone who has done well and is now, incredibly well networked and knows lots of people, different countries, etc. It must give you a sense of pride, even if it does fill you a little bit. Yeah, it does fill me a little bit with them. The kind of maybe that's just the Scot in me, or the British person and personality in me. Find it hard to sort of step into that. Definitely a role I don't take on lightly. When women have joined our company, I love seeing them grow.
and their kind of personal brand or confidence, or indeed their network within the industry grow. That's often what I say to people when they join our company is we're 20 people large. It's not like you're going to be able to manage a team of 15, 20 like they may in another recruitment company. But what we can promise you is, your network and your visibility globally, and people who know you and trust you globally within the industry will grow. So, that's what I find more comfort in is talking about the industry and talking about the candidates and helping people in the team grow.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's the role at the end of the day, isn't it? I guess so. That's good that you are confident in doing that. Okay. I spoke to someone at BettingJobs who remain nameless before Christmas, who we were talking about this podcast, and whether or not you were a bit nervous about coming on it or what have you, and you said that to me, and you're doing a great job, so don't worry about it. But they said to me, I said, "Oh, Jen's a bit nervous, I think," and they said, "She's very steely, and she's got a sort of bit of an iron glove, or what do we say, an iron fist in a velvet glove." Are you that kind of determined person at heart? You come across as very gentle and a kind person,
yes,
but you have a steely inner reserve, presumably, as well.
I think my greatest competition is myself,
right.
Actually. Yeah, I always want to be doing better than I done last year. Probably get that from my dad, actually, the constant, are you at the top of the sales, which you can't be in my role there, but anyway, I think if I have a point to make, or if I'm representing a candidate and I believe that they should get interviewed for the role, or if there's a job offer being made and it's ludicrous in terms of the salary that's been offered, or if I can find out more information that's going to help their cause, then I would back that person and obviously back myself to make that statement. The same with the team as well. If they're feeling not confident about something or a role or travelling, I definitely try my best to be there and sort of protect
the maternal instincts.
Yeah, probably the maternal instinct. Yeah, sad. Yeah, nowadays. But yeah, I think there probably is another side to me. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, there probably is another side to me.
I'm beginning to see it. I'm beginning to see it. You mentioned Scottish
yes.
and being Scottish. I was up, obviously, as we talked about just now, coming up to the iGaming meetup before Christmas, which was fabulous.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. It was really good. But is Scottishness a big part of who you are? Is that part of your identity, or is it just something that
There's actually a lot more Scottish people in the industry than you might believe, or indeed a lot more people that work remotely from here, from all nationalities. Am I proud to be Scottish? Yes, just as proud as anyone else would be in their own nationality, and I guess we see that throughout the whole iGaming industry at the moment. Never more true. But what the industry has given me is the opportunity to travel globally and meet with people from many cultures, many religions, and I think that that's wonderful as well, and something that's been truly, truly amazing about what the industry's given to me, or given back to me, is just, yes, I'm Scottish, but I've been able to see the world, I've been able to speak to people from all over the world, probably could travel to many countries to struggle to find one actually where I wouldn't know someone. Or they would be able to give me a recommendation of restaurants or hotels, or at least a friendly guide. It's remarkable actually what the industry does.
It is. It's incredible, isn't it? We're very lucky with that multiculturalism, with that multinational thing. But you do get within half an hour of being on a trade show floor like ICE, you'll have met 10 people from 10 different countries.
And you could travel to Brazil, you could travel to Cyprus, Bulgaria, Malta, France, Gibraltar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and there'd be people that are happy to meet with you, not just to do business, but just to have a conversation.
And then sometimes when you're in an airport and you don't want to see anyone, you do bump into someone and you can't get away from it. So
after ice, the after ice when the hood goes up and you're finished with the back-to-back meetings.
All you went is your bed. And
yes.
Yes. I recognise that, definitely. Well, this last few questions, which we always finish upon the podcast with, may or may not have a sort of Scottish flavour to them. But I always ask people, if I was to put them on the spot, who would be their favourite singer or band?
Don't need to put me on the spot for that answer. Okay. I am a fangirl big time of a Scottish band, actually, Tidelines.
Right.
Tidelines is my favourite band.
There you go.
I've been to see them all over Scotland.
Have you?
Yep.
Fantastic. Nobody has given me the same answer twice on this podcast yet. I'm sure one day it will happen, but
do you remember it?
Certainly not had Tidelines, but that's a new one for me. Okay, and if unfortunately this was your last day on Earth, what would your last meal be? What would you sit down and eat?
So during COVID, actually, I stopped eating meat.
Right.
So I'm sort of vegan. I got my last meal on Earth.
You can cook it yourself, or you can go out to a restaurant.
Yeah, probably. It's going to sound trite, but my husband's cooking. My husband's a great cook, actually. Some fish, sea bass or monkfish or some form of curried monkfish, maybe. Put me on the spot, but I think can't think of anything. But Drew's a great cook.
Okay, most people say steak, so you were never going to say that.
Yeah, I was never going to say steak,
and
cauliflower steak doesn't sound quite the right thing to have. Yeah, if it was my last meal.
It's not got the same ring to it, has it? Okay, and last but not least, then. If you were giving a piece of advice to the next generation of iGaming executives, what would that be?
Your network, I suppose. Just surround yourself with people who believe in you and don't be afraid to ask what you think might be a silly question, because we've all been there and there's always lots to learn. People in this industry I've found love nothing more than sharing their passion. So yeah, I would suggest building your own network or cultivating that friendship group, which you can easily do in this sector. And secondly, just not being afraid to ask the questions, or in fact put yourself up for things like this podcast and use your voice to create your own sort of network or brand, I guess.
Sounds like good advice to me. Jennifer, thank you for joining me today. I much appreciate it. And thank you also for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you to our great friends at BettingJobs.
Hopefully you have a great time at ICE.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. I hope you have a good ICE, and I hope you have a great 2026 as well.
Thank you. You too.